ashamed. I'll explain as we go along, but to begin with, is that a little too high? I think so. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Is that good now? Okay. So the topic is connected with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose appearance day, birthday, we celebrated just a couple of days back, 13th. Many people have heard of Krishna, but not as many have heard of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When I first came in touch with the Hare Krishna movement and I heard about someone, where are people sitting? Where are we giving space for people? Maybe everyone could move up a little bit, and that makes it easier for people who come later. You're fine where you are. Don't want to make you move. When I first came in touch with the Hare Krishna movement and heard about someone called Lord Chaitanya, I pictured sort of a British, what would you say, a person of minor British mobility with Wellingtons and a riding whip. That was Lord, you know, so that's what I thought. But Lord in this case indicates divinity. And on your left, there's Lord Chaitanya. No Wellingtons, no riding whip, but appearing like a Hare Krishna devotee. And according to the teachers in our line, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, appearing in the role of Krishna's devotee. And Prabhupada explained that, because Krishna says, I come again and again in age after age. And when Krishna comes as himself, as Krishna, then he's quite particular, and you should do this, you should do this, this is what you should do. You should become my devotee. And someone may say, all right, but how do I do that? So Lord Chaitanya is Krishna taking the role of a devotee and showing how to do it. Prabhupada said, just as a teacher may write on the board A, B, C, so the teacher knows how to do it. It's not that the teacher is learning, but the teacher is showing us by example, here's how you write the alphabet. So Krishna comes, the context is 18th century, to teach how to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, how to practice Krishna consciousness, and even how to achieve perfection. What does it look like when someone becomes advanced or perfect in Krishna consciousness? What's that about? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows that also. He shows how to begin or how to practice Krishna consciousness, and he shows the most advanced stages of ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. All of this, well, there are two places, two reference books that we publish. One is the first book Prabhupada published actually when he came to America, which was called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's about 350 pages. And the other is a book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is, depending how it's divided up, about roughly 10 volumes. And Teachings of Lord Chaitanya pulls a few key sections and summarizes them. And Chaitanya Charitamrita gives you the whole, quite an extensive treatment. So he's Krishna coming as the devotee of Krishna to show how to be Krishna conscious. There's one notable incident where Lord Chaitanya was in Varanasi, Benares, and he was, as usual, chanting Hare Krishna and doing the things that we do here. And he was invited for lunch by a Brahmin. And Lord Chaitanya had accepted the renounced order of life, sannyas. And so he was, we say Swami. So he was in renounced life. And he accepted the invitation, and the other invitees were all members, were also sannyasis. They were also renounced, but they were members of the impersonalist school of Vedic teaching, which means that their goal was that their vision, their understanding, is that the absolute truth is the greatest entity, but that entity has no form, no qualities, no name, no activities. That impersonal substance is the only reality, and everything else is an illusion. And where we actually belong to that reality, or we're not different from that reality, and it's just a question of realization. And when we become realized, we essentially merge into that reality, abandoning our any sense of personal identity. There's more to be said about their philosophy. There's a lot to it, but that's their basic approach, basic goal. And the sannyasis in that school, the renounced monks, typically are very involved in studying Vedanta philosophy and trying to understand things that way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes for lunch, and there are all these sannyasis there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes because, as here, you take off your shoes before you enter. So he goes and sits where the shoes are. And the leaders of the sannyasi group was one Prakashananda Saraswati, and he extended his hand and said, why should you sit there? And Lord Chaitanya said, no, I belong to an inferior group of, a less highly credentialed group of sannyasis. It's better for me to sit here. No, come sit with us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and sits with the other sannyasis, and Prakashananda Saraswati asks a few questions and gets to know that he's a sannyasi from such and such lineage, respectable lineage. Okay, you're essentially one of us. So we have a question. What are you doing with this dancing and chanting with all these sentimental people here in Benares? You're a sannyasi. You should be studying Vedanta. You should be understanding the philosophy that way. And instead we see that you're singing and dancing. This is not the business of a sannyasi. This is the business of common sentimental people. So what are you doing? Why are you doing this? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answered that my guru, my spiritual master, told me that I was a fool. My spiritual master told me that I'm a fool, and that I'm unfit to study Vedanta. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a well-reputed intellectual. We've talked about that on another occasion, but he's known as Nimai Pandit, a man of learning.
What is the name?
He's known as Nimai Pandit. Pandit title means a person of learning. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my spiritual master, told me that I'm a fool and I'm unfit to study Vedanta. And he told me that I should just chant this Hare Krishna mantra. So in this way, he, well, you could say it was a subtle dig at the sannyasis, or you can just say that he was representing the common people of this present age and saying, well, this is what we are. In this age, we're not great Vedanta scholars. We're not like the people of previous ages who could undergo great discipline and practice all the intricacies of yoga. We're basically fools. And we think we're very learned, but we're not so learned. So my spiritual master called me a fool and just told me to chant Hare Krishna. And so that's what I did. But then I found that by chanting Hare Krishna, these feelings were developing within me that made me want to dance, and even made the hairs on my body stand on end, and made me, I was becoming overwhelmed by these different feelings that were appearing within me. So I went to my spiritual master and said, sir, I'm following your orders. I'm chanting this Hare Krishna, but I think I'm going mad. Instead of getting clarity of mind, I'm becoming, what's the word? Agitated. So the spiritual master, he said, my spiritual master was very pleased. He said, these are symptoms of love for Krishna. And it's, so I'm very happy that you're experiencing these signs of love for Krishna, because the love for Krishna is the real goal of life. The impersonalists may see the Absolute as an abstract entity, but we see that same Absolute as the Supreme Personality, and we see that one can have an ecstatic, loving relationship with that Supreme Personality. And then when that relationship matures, then these signs may appear. So he explained these things in quite some detail, and he gave evidence from Vedic literature that in the present age, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, this chanting is the right means for spiritual realization. In previous ages, in the Satya Yuga, it said that people lived for 100,000 years. And they would practice meditation and meditate for 30,000 years. They would practice the discipline of yoga and with great determination and detachment, they could go off to a holy place and just meditate. But now we can't meditate for half an hour. So that system is no longer suitable for us. In the next stage, it said that people lived for 10,000 years, and the method of spiritual realization was yajna, which means grand sacrificial performances in which so many rituals would be performed, and there'd be a fire, and grains and clarified butter would be offered in that fire, and mantras would be chanted, and there's a lot to say about it, all the details, but it's a very big deal. And very costly also. These things were sponsored by great kings. But now that's also not possible. We're lucky if we can afford $100 here, $200 there, to say nothing of having great sacrifices with gold utensils and so many things. So in the next stage, then temple worship is the method. People live for 1,000 years. And we see great temples or great churches. In India, there's Ranganath Mandir, and very huge, like a fort practically, Ranganath Mandir. Big temples. And the form of Krishna is installed there, and very grand worship goes on. Upstairs we have temple worship. It looks quite elaborate. Garlands and dresses and some rituals. This is like simple temple worship. This is like boiled down to the easiest possible, not easiest possible, very simple though. In previous ages it was very elaborate. So elaborate that we can't do them anymore. And people have lost interest also. A lot of, so many churches, you see them, they're turned into clubs and luxury apartment buildings and all of that. And it's really cool to live in a former monastery and have your apartment there, but it's the original purpose is abandoned because people just don't come. It's hard to get a lot of people coming to a church or to a temple or what have you. And then, they come and then what do I do there? It's just not part of what would you say, integral with their life. It doesn't go anywhere. And so people lose interest. What do I want to go to a church for and just attend, a service or a temple and just attend a service? But it's not so. That doesn't work in this age either. So Lord Chaitanya gave evidence that in Kali Yuga, the present age, this chanting works. There are no previous qualifications. You don't have to be a Brahmin or a this or a that. You don't have to do anything to prepare yourself to chant. You don't have to practice any rituals or anything like that. It can be done anywhere, in your home, and on the street, any place you can chant Hare Krishna. There are no hard and fast rules, so everyone can do it. And yet, it's powerful because the Hare Krishna sound is a transcendental vibration. It cleanses the mind, it cleanses the heart, because the sound is coming from the absolute platform. Abhinata Namanamino. The vibration, Hare Krishna, is as good as Krishna himself. And we become purified by chanting Hare Krishna, and one can experience that. And Lord Chaitanya really experienced that. But even the newcomer, even a child, can join the chanting and feels happiness by joining in with the kirtan, with the chanting party. So Lord Chaitanya spoke about these things and more. And then Prakashananda Saraswati said, "Oh, all right, you've explained why you're chanting and dancing, good enough. But what about Vedanta? Why are you not also, at least, studying Vedanta?" So Lord Chaitanya had already explained that his guru had called him a fool and he wasn't fit for Vedanta. But then he basically explained Vedanta philosophy to Prakashananda Saraswati. He said, actually, the Vedanta Sutra is clear in itself, but the problem is that the meaning is obscured by the commentators. Particularly, it's understood, the commentators of the impersonalist school have masked the ultimate purpose of Vedanta. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedaischa sarvaira aham vedya. By all the Vedas, it's I'm that should be known. And Vedanta Krit, Vedavid Evachaham. I'm the author of Vedanta. I know the meaning of Vedanta, Lord Krishna says. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that actually the Vedanta Sutra is meant for understanding Krishna. And it's clear. It's like the sun. The sun doesn't need someone with a flashlight to show where it is. The sun is self-luminous. So Lord Chaitanya said the Vedanta is straightforward, but we cover it with so many even tricky explanations, or what's the word? Trying to squeeze something out to support our own views. So in this way, so I'm not wasting my time with that kind of Vedanta, but one will understand the conclusions of Vedanta by chanting Hare Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya also demonstrated that, yes, we have philosophy also. For the ordinary person, there's no need of a discussion on Vedanta Sutra. What will he do with it? But when there's a qualified scholar, when there's a Prakashananda Saraswati or someone of that caliber, then Lord Chaitanya talked about Vedanta. Otherwise, his main program was for the public, chanting Hare Krishna, dancing, distributing Krishna Prasad, food offered to Krishna. Not much philosophy. But when, all right, someone's a philosopher, then we're ready. Lord Chaitanya had so much to say. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I should take my watch off so I know where I am in time. Good. So why did the moon feel ashamed? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on a full moon night in Bengal, Mayapur. We have our center today in Mayapur, on the bank of the Ganges. Mayapur is located. And on that occasion, there was a full lunar eclipse. I think in some places here, just on a couple days back, there was a full lunar eclipse, wasn't it? Maybe, I don't think in New York, but in some places.
Somebody was telling me a full moon.
Well, it was a full moon, but I think a full lunar eclipse also.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Okay.
It's not visible here, but it's
Right, it wasn't visible here, but it was happening, and in some places it was visible.
Australia, India.
Okay, good. Somebody has to fill me in on these things. Thank you. So, in the day that Lord Chaitanya appeared, was born, there was a full moon and a full lunar eclipse. And the custom was, in those days, but generally eclipses are considered bad news. They're considered inauspicious. You know, a full sunny day, that's good. But when the sun gets covered, that's considered bad sign. I think even like in ancient Greece and Rome, it was like that too. They considered eclipses to be signs that something's not very good. So the custom was in India at that time that during the time of the eclipse, people would bathe in the Ganges. Ganges is always purifying. And they would chant Hare Krishna. So at the time of when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, all these people were bathing in the Ganges and chanting Hare Krishna. So it's said that this indicated Lord Chaitanya's future program, that he would introduce this chanting of Hare Krishna on a wide scale. And the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is compared to the moon. He's sometimes called Chaitanya Chandra. Chandra means moon. Chaitanya Chandra. And it's said that Lord Chaitanya is, being Krishna himself, he's completely pure, spotless in his character and beyond actually all material qualities, completely transcendental. So the poets have said that when Chaitanya Chandra appeared, then the moon felt ashamed, especially since the moon has spots on it. Chaitanya Chandra, Lord Chaitanya, he's spotless, but the moon has spots. And so the moon felt ashamed and went into eclipse. That's how the poets have described the matter. So our present day Hare Krishna movement is following the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You can find that book here, there it is, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, on the right, with Lord Chaitanya dancing. And that presents this incident about Prakashananda Saraswati and Lord Chaitanya's teachings to his principal theologians, you can say, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Hare Krishna, and a few other important incidents. We today also, we're mostly about chanting Hare Krishna and sharing food offered to Krishna, but we also have a fair, we're well supplied philosophically. We have so many books for those who want to explore the science of Krishna consciousness. So that's maybe enough to get started and see what questions you might have, what thoughts. Yes?
I was always wondering, the people in the previous age, like Satya Yuga, yes, they had a long lifespan. They have like 100,000 years to do meditation. But I wonder if they were aware of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which will even be faster for them to achieve.
They may have been aware of the Maha Mantra. People in Satya Yuga, it's called, the first age, were they aware of the Maha Mantra, and why didn't they just take the fast track? Well, for them at that time, they had to do more.
Oh, so it's a higher higher power dictate how much you have to do
Yeah.
to finish your homework.
If you've got 100,000 years, we're not going to fast track you.
Oh, I see.
And especially when you have these, you're exalted in character and in mode of goodness and so on. No, you have to do yoga, you have to meditate. We're not going to let you take the quick route.
So the Lord Chaitanya was the one who gave us the privilege and fact.
It was there. It's there in the Vedic literature, in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. This Hare Krishna mantra is there. Iti Shodashaka Nam Nam Kali Kalmasha Nashana Nata Parataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Shodashaka Nam Nam. These 16 names. There's really 3, Hare Krishna and Rama, but when you arrange them in the mantra, it's 16. Iti Shodashaka Nam Nam Kali Kalmasha Nashana. They wipe out all the contamination of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel. Kali Kalmasha Nashana. They just nullify all the evil effects, degrading effects of Kali Yuga. Na ata paratara upaya. There's no higher means than this. Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. If you look through Sarva Veda, all the Vedic literature, nothing better. And this is the highest means, especially in the age of Kali. Something else, yes.
So, Maharaj, you were saying that just by chanting the holy name, one can achieve the realization. So, what is the purpose of philosophy or knowledge? Is it like a catalyst?
If we can understand everything, achieve perfect realization by chanting Hare Krishna, what's the need of philosophy? In one sense, no need. But, number one, we have some questions to be answered. And let me think how I want to answer your question. Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it said that this Krishna consciousness is enriched with philosophical understanding. It's not that we chant Hare Krishna, we wipe out everything that's in our mind, we become empty-minded, and now we're in perfection. But there's deep philosophical understanding. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose in life? What is the source of everything? What is my relationship to the ultimate truth? All of these things are dealt with profoundly in the Vedic literature. And it's not that, well, because you're chanting Hare Krishna, you don't want to know about that. You don't care who you are. You don't care where you came from. You don't care what your purpose in life is. Just sing and dance. That was sort of where the Mayavadi philosophers were coming from. Why don't you read anything? Why don't you study the books? You're just singing and dancing like a fanatic. And sometimes the Hare Krishna movement's painted that way. These are people, they've blown their minds with this mantra, and they have to chant all the time so that they can't think. That's the only way that they could follow this thing, is by blanking out their intelligence. But philosophy is there. It's not at all blank. And chanting will purify the mind. But all of these questions that a intelligent human being would raise are dealt with in the literature. So we're meant for that. We're meant for that. And then otherwise it becomes sentimental. Oh, the chanting was so wonderful. We went and chanted for 2 hours, we were in bliss, we were in ecstasy, we were over the moon, it was so great. I just want to do this forever. And a week later it's like, nah, I'm kind of, now I'm into Vipassana, or I'm into, I decided to, this, that, or the other thing. Because it's sentimental. And today I come on sentiment, tomorrow I leave on sentiment. So it doesn't have roots to it, it doesn't have substance, it's just, passing fancy. So because the mind is like that, the mind is fickle. It goes here, it goes there. I'm in love, nah. But when the intelligence is engaged, when we understand something with our intellect, then it becomes fixed. I'm doing this for this reason, this reason, this reason, and this reason. I'm not doing that because of this, this, and this. And this understanding makes sense, and that understanding doesn't make any sense at all. It's inconsistent. So when we bring our analytical powers to things, when we bring our intelligence to things, it becomes fixed. So the two actually go together. Is that okay? Yes?
The way I understand it is that chanting Hare Krishna and practicing yoga is engaging in philosophy. And knowledge can only take you so far.
Yes.
At some point, you have to do something about it, or you learn.
Yeah. That what you've understood is that chanting engages philosophy. Philosophy only takes us to a certain point. It's theoretical.
Right.
And well, what do I do with theory? I have to implement it and put it into my life to make something of it. So yes, chanting Hare Krishna, you can say from that point of view, is not only clearing of the mind, but it's applied philosophy. And then the chanting goes with other aspects of bhakti, of devotional service to Krishna, so that it becomes a comprehensive engagement of all of our senses, all of our mind, our intelligence, our words, our bodies, everything becomes engaged in bhakti yoga. So yes, very good point. Thank you. Yes?
Yes, I think just to continue that discussion, I think the impersonalists, if you say, they insisted on the study of the Vedanta, right? They were also right in the sense,
Yeah.
without knowledge, you can't just chant and say you'll reach God. So obviously you have to have knowledge.
Yes.
But you have to study the Vedanta, the other Upanishads.
Even if you don't, still it will be good.
Yeah.
The chanting will still be effective. So that even a person, therefore, you're a fool, you can't study Vedanta. Even a fool can take this chanting of Hare Krishna and make spiritual advancement. But generally we'll want to understand things intelligently, carefully, philosophically, and then the philosophy is. Otherwise just chanting will be fine. But so that we make, there's a process of advancement, and the philosophy will enlighten us and help us and engage us. When we speak about engaged philosophy, that's another problem that the members of the impersonalist school run into. All right, the goal is to become one with Brahman, with the Absolute, to go beyond my personal identity, to realize the oneness inherent in me as non-different from the Absolute. Then what do I do? What do I do with my life? Well, you study Vedanta. Really? Is that it? You study Vedanta to see that really everything's an illusion except Brahman, the Supreme, and that you're also Tattvamasi, you're also that Supreme in essence. Yeah, that's fine. What do I do? So bhakti brings us to the practical platform, you can say the more advanced platform of yoga, because it answers that question. if I'm simply Brahman and with no personal identity, well, what is there to do but say, Aham Brahmasmi, I'm Brahman, I'm Brahman, I'm Brahman, and Maya has come to the light, and so on, get out of the darkness. But when I see the Absolute in its personal feature, and see myself having a relationship with that person, then there's activity, then there's service, then there's so many different ways that I'll act in relationship to Krishna. By hearing about Krishna, by chanting about Krishna, by remembering Krishna, by serving Krishna in different ways. So it's practical activity. Bhakti is not just a sentiment, but it's practical activity in relationship to Krishna. Yes?
So, just to follow up on that, so you said like knowledge and of philosophy actually fixes us in the process. So for people who are not in that knowledge, they don't know, they don't want to figure out who am I, what is my purpose, in what mood they should start chanting?
Just take this chanting. We don't care if you're not a philosopher. If you're a philosopher, we're ready for you. How many books would you like? But if you're not a philosopher, take this chanting. And take prasadam, the food offered to Krishna. It will act. Not that without philosophy it will act anyway. Like penicillin, you don't have to be a chemist to understand the ins and outs of penicillin. Only then will it work. No, it'll work. So this chanting will be effective, and we see that people who may not know very much philosophically, that they can still take this chanting Hare Krishna, and minds become purified, hearts become purified, their way of life changes without much philosophy. Little philosophy, something. But we see it works. The chanting has a practical effect. Even if we don't know anything, it will work. And one will feel the effect of the chanting practically. But the philosophy, for those who are philosophically minded, will be still strengthening. Yes?
Maharaj, how do we maintain empathy in the sense of, sometimes in spiritual practice, like you just said, we take it as a practical activity.
A little slower and a little louder. I am half deaf, so be kind to me.
What I'm saying is, how can we maintain empathy, given that sometimes in spiritual practice, we might go on the path of being too practical and just logical about it? How do we continue having that empathy and make that conscious effort?
Practical and logical are not antithetical to empathy. In the impersonalist school, even, maybe a little empathy, but if ultimately everything is illusion and ultimately nothing is real and even our identity is not real, that tends to be quite a, what's the word? It's something that makes the heart quite hard. We live a severe, restricted way of life, and we study this literature, and it makes it hard to feel for others. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Atmopam yena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjana sukham va yadiva dukkam sayogi paramamata. Krishna is the highest yogi, parama, in his opinion, paramamata, is those who see others by reference to their own selves. Sukham va yadiva dukkam, in their happiness or their distress. We know what it's like to feel distress. We know what it's like to feel happiness. And so, I'm not in your body, I'm not in your mind, but I can understand you must be feeling the same thing. Even an animal, even a bird feels happiness, distress. We can understand that. So therefore we feel sympathy. We find a bird that's been wounded or something. The child will feel sympathetic. Because the child recognizes this is another living being like me. So sukham va yadivat. So yogi feels that way. Prahlad Maharaj, all the greatest bhakti yogis, they feel great empathy with others. And they see that this person is suffering because of having forgotten his spiritual nature, having forgotten his relationship with Krishna, and being absorbed in a way of life that doesn't make any sense, that just creates a burden on everyone. So they have this intense desire. Why should they suffer? Why should they go through so much trouble? And therefore, in Bhakti Yoga, that Lord Chaitanya's movement is to spread this. It's not, one writer who I like very much just gave a sort of passing mention of Hare Krishna, sort of lumped it in with groups where they're all concerned about themselves. It's meditation, and it's all about them. No. They're intensely concerned with the welfare of others.
Maharaj, you mentioned that the Hare Krishna mantra in Upanishad. What was the name of it?
Kali Santarana Upanishad.
Is different Upanishad that you translating, or you say?
No, I'm not translating Kali.
Oh, no, you for somebody else. I just remember.
Kali Santarana Upanishad. It's one of the known Upanishads. It's probably out there someplace translated. We haven't published it, but this particular verse we've referenced many times with the word-for-word meaning and translation. Kali Santarana.
Thank you.
Yes.
If we get to read like other philosophies within this realm, and we see like certain philosophies and certain scriptures says like Shiva is supreme and Shakti is supreme, and they have certain mantras. So how does one decide what mantra they need to chant?
We read other books in this in the Vedic canon, and we think some of them say Shiva is supreme, some of them say Devi is supreme. There are different mantras, and how do we decide what mantra to chant and which way to go? Therefore, we have to read the books carefully, and with the benefit of a bona fide teacher. One may read these books and focus on Shiva or focus on something else. But then Lord Chaitanya and his followers come and say, well, let's take a look at that. What is the role of Lord Shiva? What is his position? Who is Devi? What is her role? Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that by approaching different objects of veneration, we'll go to different destinations. The typical notion of many people from the impersonalist school is that it doesn't really matter. These are all just sort of stepping stones. We're venerating Shiva, but just because he gets us to the impersonal Brahman. We're venerating Krishna, but just because he gets us to the impersonal Brahman. We're venerating Devi, but just because she gets us to the impersonal Brahman. So they're like a ladder. You climb the ladder, and then you can throw the ladder aside because you've reached the top of the wall. So from their point of view, it doesn't really matter because we're all going to the same destination. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, no, you venerate Shiva, you'll go to Shiva. You venerate Devi, you'll go to Devi. And you engage in service to me, you'll come to me. He doesn't say, well, it's all the same, it's all one. Whatever you do, you wind up, any ticket you purchase, you wind up in Chicago. Chicago. You buy a ticket for Chicago, you go to Chicago. You buy a ticket for Orlando, you'll go to Orlando. It's not just any ticket you take takes you to the same place. So for those with such philosophical questions, we have a lot of books. And Shiva, for example, is seen in relationship to Krishna and as being almost the same as Krishna, but different. Because Shiva's in touch with the material energy, married to the material energy, and Krishna is beyond. So this very topic has been taken up in many of our books, and you can go through it. Yes?
While chanting consistently, should I follow a consistent intent for chanting while being in relation with my personal journey or path? Or should it be like an open mind without intent?
When chanting, should I have a particular intent, or should I have an open mind and just not have a preconceived intent?
Yeah.
The essence of the chanting is that it's a call to Krishna and to Krishna's spiritual energy to pick us up from illusion and darkness and engage us in devotional service, in bhakti. That's the ultimate, intent. That Prabhupada compared it to a child calling for the mother. It's a natural thing for the child to do. So Prabhupada said that chanting is like the crying of the child for the mother. So it's a call to Krishna. Please engage me in your service beyond the darkness of this material world. Now that said, one can chant with any sort of intention. We're reading in the morning about Dhruva Maharaj, ultimately a great devotee, but in the beginning he was a child and he'd been insulted by his stepmother and essentially told that he'd be ineligible to rule the kingdom. And so he went crying to his mother, "What should I do?" She said, "Well, I can't do anything for you, but Krishna can help you." So he went off to the forest to look for God, for Krishna. And he met Narada, a great teacher, great saint. Narada instructed him what to do, how to chant, and so on. But his goal was, how do I get a kingdom? That was his intent. How do I get a kingdom? But because he practiced bhakti yoga, he finally came to the point, actually saw Krishna, Vishnu. So what do you want? I don't want anything, I just want to serve you. The Lord said, no, you wanted a kingdom, I'll give you that too. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that in the beginning, one may come with some material intention. And he lists 4 of them. Artha, out of distress. I just want to get out of misery. Or artarti, I want some profit out of it. That was Dhruva, he wanted a kingdom. Jnani, one is looking for knowledge. Or Jigyasu, one is curious. What's this all about? What's going on? Curiosity. So in the beginning, one may come with those. The 2 higher, curiosity and knowledge, are considered the higher stage. Just getting out of distress or getting some material profit is considered less advanced. But these are all, Krishna says, they're the beginners. But even, we all start somewhere. So even those who take to the path of bhakti in the beginning with some other intention gradually become purified. And they reach that point, no, I don't want any of those things. I just want to be connected to Krishna. I just want to serve Krishna. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
I want to know if faith is connected to the chanting, or is faith is connected to delusion?
Whether faith is connected to chanting or faith is connected to
Delusion.
devotion.
Illusion.
Illusion. Yeah. Well, faith can go wherever we put it. It can definitely go to illusion, or it can go to truth. You know, I have faith in my political leaders. I have faith in, oh my goodness, I have faith that you know, drugs will bring me happiness. I have faith in that if I attend this university, I'll get a good career, and then my life will be good. We all have faith in various ways. And the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna analyzes it as faith according to three modes, three qualities that we all find ourselves affected by in this world: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Though the people in ignorance have faith in intoxicants, in self-torture, you know, severe, you know, weird things, various practices of darkness, that's where their faith is. It even affects the ordinary things we do, eating. Those in the mode of ignorance eat things that are like decomposed, stinky, you know, what is it, gin? I remember I went to, my parents had some liquor that was, my parents didn't drink really, but they had liquor for guests and so on. I remember going down to the a place where there was, what, Tanqueray or something, I think it's a kind of gin. And, you know, we opened it up because this is something interesting. It's like, it blows you away. Well, it's basically decomposed. That's how you make alcohol, or how you make these spirits, you know. So people in the mode of ignorance, they're attracted to things that are decomposed and rotten, things that are products of violence and so on. And then people who, they have faith, this is going to make me happy. People in the mode of passion, their faith is in sensation. You know, it's hot, it's so sour, it's so maximum salty, it's, you know, and you forget that it's monosodium, blah, 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 whatever stuff they add to. But, you know, that's what gets them going. It's like, it's just so, the tongue is just stimulated like anything because it's got this and this and this. So passion, eating in passion, acting in passion. And then there's goodness, which is, as passion is higher than ignorance, then goodness is higher than passion. So in passion, one is philosophical, one is balanced, one is more gentle, one is moderate in one's way of life, one eats food that's pure and natural, and in this way. So he has faith in that. The organic food will be better, the simple food will be better, philosophy will be better than you know, just wild, you know, torrid novels or something like that. So we all have faith in, and we all have faith in something. A man goes for a shave, he lies down in the barber's chair, and the guy stands over him with a razor at his neck. He has faith. So faith is a part of life, of the nature of the living being. But in material life, we have faith toward that which is ever existing, rather than that which is here today and gone before the day is over. Is that okay? So faith will be there. And even in Bhakti it said, Adav Shraddha. The beginning is, one time Srila Prabhupada translated it, interest. Beginning is to have some interest. Or ordinarily Shraddha is translated as faith. You know, why have you come here today? You have some faith, all right. Did they charge, you charge $10?
For the program here? It's free.
It's free, okay. So all you invested was your time, but you could have been all doing something else. But you had some faith that, all right, if I spend a couple of hours over there, maybe I'll get something. Maybe there'll be something useful for me. Maybe I'll have something to take back with me. The rest of New York City, they either don't know about it or they say, it's just the Hare Krishnas. But you have some faith. I got a book, it looked interesting, I heard the chanting, I liked it, something. I met somebody, he was a nice person. You have some sort of initial faith, enough to bring you in the door and say, okay, I'm going to do something. At least I'll give it an ear. So it starts with some faith. But if it just stays there, it remains sentimental faith, or, okay, I had some faith, now let's see what else is over there and over here and over there and over there. But if you take this up, then you start to understand. First you chant and you have some further experience, and if you're a little philosophical, you read and you find things that make sense of the world. And so as your knowledge grows, your faith becomes stronger. So faith is there, but it's not just a sentimental faith, and it's not faith in something that's going to crumble, which is where most of the world is putting their faith. Money will make me happy, sex will make me happy, drugs will make me happy, politics, getting my candidate in office will make me happy, getting into office myself will make me happy, becoming president or king will make me happy. Putting faith in something which is not going to work, it's going to be turned to dust.
It's an interesting concept. Interesting concept about the faith that you're saying, because that we always have faith in something, whether material or on spiritual path. Just like Nityananda was saying that, like service, we're serving something always too. So it's faith in service.
Yeah, it's like we all have faith in something. So now, I have faith that we've gone 9 minutes over. My watch, I have faith in my watch. It tells me the time. So I'd hand things back to you.
Everyone give Maharaj a nice